Good morning. Officials in New Brunswick are now warning people caught up in the flooding along the St. John River that this is a moving day. Now is the time to get to safer, higher ground.
If you're considering evacuating your home, you probably should. This is the time. This is not an easy decision. That is appreciated. We understand that. But it's a decision that needs to be taken mindful of safety over property.
Right now, the St. John River in Fredericton is already higher than last year's peak flood surge. Officials warn that with more rain in the forecast, that will mean the flooding will get worse for people who live south of the city, downriver all the way to St. John.
We're very scared. You probably hear my voice. It's very emotional. We couldn't spend Christmas in our home or any of the holidays.
That is Elaine Price, whose home in the Grand Lake area was damaged in last year's flooding. Officials are now warning people along the St. John River to remain on high alert. And further south in St. John itself, there are voluntary evacuation orders in place. We begin our coverage on the scene live in Fredericton with Brett Ruskin once again. And the latest, Brett, why don't we start? Well, we can see it behind you, but set the stage for where you are and what the conditions are like there this morning.
Well, Heather, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday, we were talking, I was standing in this same rough area, and we were talking about how that record level flooding from last year, we were still about 10 centimeters below that mark. Overnight, the water levels climbed and climbed to be now 5 centimeters above that mark, hitting that mark around midnight last night. And take a look at what I'm standing in right now. This isn't just river water that's here. This is huge chunks of ice that I'm standing in the middle of. You can see big logs, big trees. So this is all being hauled in through the river. And so you can see the ice, and the temperature of this water is very, very cold. So that's one of the concerns as it fills people's basements, fills people's homes, because it is frigid water and it is really going everywhere as this flood continues to worsen. Heather.
And as you've been there covering this for us these last couple of days, I know you've spoken to so many people in New Brunswick, making what officials said very clearly was a difficult decision. Do they ride out the flood at home, or do they leave? And what are you hearing from people?
Well, Shell, yeah, you walk down or drive down any street close to the water, and you can see people's homes that might be surrounded by water. And one home that we visited in particular was one that the residents, the only way they could get to and from their home because of the deep ditches around their entire home was by kayak. And so they had purchased a kayak specifically for this flood when they saw the waters rising, when they knew the water might rise as high as it did last year. And I asked them, you know what, this is the second major flood you've had in 2 years. Why not just move? Here's what they had to say.
This year we saw the water coming in and we thought, well, we're going to need one.
So you bought the kayak for the flood?
Yeah, we did.
We love our property when it's dry. I mean, we'd move if we could, but I doubt we're ever going to sell this property.
So if you could, you would move?
Yeah, unfortunately, we'd move just because this is really getting out of hand. It's a little unfortunate, and it puts us in a bind every year.
And so here's where we are right now. The water level hit its peak at around midnight last night. It's down a little bit right now, a few centimeters, but this high level here, again, at record-setting levels this year, higher than last year's flood, is going to trickle down, literally flow downstream to the communities downriver. So you're going to see many other communities that will be affected by this high water mark as well. So this is just one example here in Fredericton. It's going to have repercussions downriver too. Heather.
Brett, thank you as we start things with you, and we'll be back hour by hour for updates on the condition in Fredericton. Brett Ruskin is live. And we're going to have more from that province later in the hour. Elaine Price, as you mentioned, or as I mentioned, the woman that we heard from right off the top of our program, how she was scared, how she's been facing this kind of situation year after year after year. Well, she's in a pickle again, and we'll have that conversation around 6:40 Eastern. Eastern Time as we continue to track New Brunswick. But we're also watching Quebec because this is expected to be a decisive day for the flooding in the province. Officials forecast flood levels will peak. There are 6 major flood zones in Quebec, from Gatineau in the west to Beauce, which is south of Quebec City, and that is the hardest hit region overall. Kathy Sene has the latest from there today.
I lost everything on the first floor.
Despite the flood, Alain Robert is trying to see the glass as half full.
More people are in more trouble, like this owner here. I mean, this house is done. They're going to have to tear it down.
Authorities have given him a few hours to take some of his things and leave. Robert doesn't know when he'll come back. He has lived here with his wife for 6 years.
There's not a lot that I can save, but everything moved. My couch wasn't even there.
Robert says he's had enough.
Dealing with some stuff like this, it's very hard, you know. It comes to a point where you have to put the brakes on. It's the last one, it's over. Let's move on. Let's move to higher ground. Forget about the river.
But not everyone is as upbeat. That's why nurses and social workers are in the field. Cindy Fortin wants to know if people have eaten enough or need to talk.
C'est que là, les gens ils ont quitté leur maison, elle était dans un état. Et des fois, quand ils reviennent à domicile, c'est pire que ce qu'ils s'imaginaient finalement.
People come back home and the damage is worse than they had feared. That creates lots of anxiety, she says. This time, the Chaudière River came faster, stronger. About 100 soldiers are on the ground trying to help, making sure people are coming back to their houses safely. The Quebec government is repeating its offer to help people to relocate far from flood-prone areas.
They stop being flooded year after year, and it costs less to the government, less to all people.
But several residents aren't ready yet for this change. All they can do right now is go through the pain. Kathy Sonny, CBC News, Sainte-Marie.